Women empowerment is one of those topics that is just so hot right now. Women talking about how they are empowered and empowering other women and how important it is. It's one of the topics that we talk about a ton, not just here on the podcast, but inside the Seizing Happy community as well. I consider myself an empowered woman. And I believe that through our Seizing Happy podcasts, such as Chats with GiGi, through our workshops, through our events like Move, Breathe, Grow, and Confluence Circles, I believe we do our best to empower other women as well. But I love dissecting words. You know, I am fascinated by language, and I'm even more fascinated by marketing and how the way that we use language to market certain thoughts and ideas can completely influence an entire segment of people, right? My 20 years in media, I spent a lot of time both on radio and television learning about this, being able to speak in a way where I was going to be understood specifically by a certain segment of people. My master's degree is in sociology and anthropology, which is understanding why groups of people do the things that they do. So I'm fascinated when somebody can tell me that a concept, a word that I thought I understood is actually something a little different. Especially because, as you probably know, English is my second language. So I'm also fascinated by words because it was a very difficult process for me to learn this language. And so anytime that you can help me to understand it and speak it better, I'm going to be fascinated by that. And so in a recent conversation with today's guest, she was telling me how she believes that the current concept of empowerment is actually disempowering women. And my whole brain just went, what is she talking about? And as we continued to have the conversation about what empowerment is, how it is marketed, how it is defined right now, and what she believes women empowerment truly is, and how it can really create a powerful impact in a woman's life, I thought to myself, I got to get this lady on the show. I got to get her on the show. I got to get her to share this perspective with our tribe because I think she's absolutely right. The way that women empowerment, the concept of women empowerment has been marketed to us is actually pretty damn disempowering. And we're going to dissect that today on the Chats with GiGi podcast with our special guest, Diana Perkovic. She is the founder of Good Girl Mafia, a female empowerment company where women supporting women is more than just that cool catchphrase. It's a way of being. As an experienced empowerment coach, Diana has come to understand that the way to achieve empowerment amongst women is to cultivate, grow, and unleash personal empowerment in one woman at a time. Diana knows firsthand what it's like to be perceived as confident and empowered while still being the complete opposite. I think we can all relate. She's been confident enough to interview stars like J-Lo, one of my favorites, Mariah, Cary, Mary J. Blige, all on live television, and still feel disempowered. She couldn't make the life changes that were needed for her growth, for what she wanted. Diana managed to get unstuck and to pivot and to thrive, to be fully empowered. And now she's on a mission to make the empowerment process much easier for other women. And she teaches women how to do what she did, which is how to self-empower. She has a master's certification in neuro-linguistic programming. She's a twice certified life coach. She's a motivational coach, social and emotional intelligence coach, and she is a TV sister. She has over 10,000 hours of live and unscripted television broadcast into 100 million homes. And so she's a total badass, like everybody else I bring on this show. And I'm super excited to have this conversation to kind of flesh out what is women empowerment? How is it disempowering us? And how do we do it better? This is Chats with GiGi, a podcast for women who are ready to step into their power, get unstuck, and create more freedom in all areas of life. I'm your host, GiGi Diaz, certified life and business coach, media personality, and multi-passionate entrepreneur. I've helped hundreds of women find the necessary clarity, confidence, and courage to build their dream life and achieve success with less stress. If you're seeking weekly motivation, practical and spiritual advice, and tangible resources to scale in life and in business, then you're in the right place. Are you ready? Here we go. Diana, welcome to the Chats with GiGi podcast. I think it's so exciting that you're here, not just because of the topic we're going to talk about, but because on our very first, meet and greet coffee virtual thing that we did, you were like, our mutual friend, Dr. Nicole, said that we were going to be like BFFs. We just had to meet each other. And within 5 minutes of that conversation, I was like, Nicole was right. How are you?
I'm great. I'm delighted to be here. And it's so nice to spend time with what Nicole predicted was my new BFF. I mean, literally in 5 minutes. But I believe that like finds like, and we find each other. Some way, somehow we do.
I love that. And I think it's such a great way to get into the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is women empowerment. And the reason is because when we are powerful women, I feel like we gravitate toward each other. And it's easy for one powerful woman to see that light in another, and then also see the beautiful qualities, the visions, the road, the path that another powerful woman is paving, and to be able to say, you know what, you would walk in really great alignment with so-and-so. Let me connect you guys. Let me put you in touch with each other, and then just let that be and see what kind of magic comes from that, right? And so when it comes to that kind of empowerment, when it comes to that kind of growth, when it comes to those spaces where, we put ourselves in the spaces so that we can attract the women that are like us, what would you say is the way in which we are letting ourselves down, the way in which we're failing ourselves when it comes to getting in those spaces?
Oh, that is such a great question. And I can really hone in and specifically get to a couple of things, GiGi, that I find when I'm out and about with women and that I find with clients. And one of the things is these ideas of imposter syndrome, these ideas of lack of confidence, this idea of I'm not good at something. Is lack of confidence real? Yes. Is imposter syndrome real? Sure. Are we as women not good at certain things? By definition, yes. So what I find is the women who end up in these areas, the women who end up going and putting themselves out there, are women who have two very, very important qualities. Oftentimes you'll hear experts say, curiosity is one of the things that you'll always find in people who excel. What I find in empowered women is they possess these two qualities. Number one is courage, and number two is willingness. So as women, we have to, number one, muster up the courage to go into parts unknown, to go into a room full of strangers, to go places where maybe we don't know anyone. And then number two, to actually have the willingness to take the step forward to actually do it, right? Because we can sit and we can dream about it all day. That's the courage. But then we have to have the willingness to step in. And then number three is openness, the openness to be around other really, really powerful women and get inspired rather than shrink back.
That is so, so good. I love that, especially the willingness part, because that's where the action happens. And you're a mindset coach also. You have experience in what it means to take aligned action. Because like you said, you can sit down and think about it all day and actually nothing is going to get done. But I wonder, when it comes to the concept of women empowerment, and we talked about this during our coffee or our virtual coffee, and I want to know, in your thoughts, the way that you explained it to me was just so beautiful. Where did women empowerment kind of get wonky? Where did it go wrong?
I feel like, GiGi, that is such a great question to like pinpoint where specifically this happened. It is a very, very dangerous thing that we've done, I think, in the whole female empowerment space, which is female empowerment somehow got picked up and co-opted and marketed and branded as a very specific thing. And we all know what that is, right? When you think female empowerment, you think like female empowerment. Yes, that's part of being an empowered woman, but that's a very, very small sliver of what real empowerment in women actually is. And I think that's the moment it got wonky, was when all of a sudden it was co-opted and branded and marketed and profited off of, right? It almost got politicized and profited off of. And then it was this idea of, this is what a woman's supposed to be. So I'm sorry, did we just build another box we have to bust out of? Is there more Kool-Aid that now I have to stop drinking? Like, I think it's just such a dangerous road to go down because, you know, GiGi, people call me an empowerment expert, and I humbly accept that title. I will tell you, the most disempowering thing we can do to a woman is tell her what empowerment is.
Let's just say that one more time. The most disempowering thing you can tell to a woman is to tell her what empowerment is. Yes. And I agree with you so much, because we are all different. And what might empower one woman in one space, whether it's in her personal life or in her professional life, might be completely different than what empowers another woman in her personal and professional life. And so what would you say is, I guess, the solution to let's flesh out this concept of empowerment? How do we recreate it into what it truly needs to be?
I mean, you just nailed it. That's such a great question. It's like you've done this before.
It's almost like I have 20 years of experience interviewing people.
I know. But you know, that's a really, really great question, because, you know, as an empowerment coach, one of the tools that I lean back on quite often is I have a master's certification in neuro-linguistic programming. And so much of what we think, do, believe, say, the way in which we behave, it's subconscious. And I've called that the tape recorder. Now this idea of what female empowerment is now lodged inside of our tape recorders. So number one, we have to bring awareness to the fact that that is a branded, marketed definition. The second you have awareness, girls, you are already on your way. And then the second thing you want to ask yourself is, okay, so like, what does an empowered life look like to me? Like, if I was my empowered self, what would I be doing? What would I look like? What would my morning be like? Who would I hang out with? What would I be doing for a living? Who would I be? How would that feel? We have to start asking ourselves the question, because what I want you to do as a woman, listen, an empowered woman is a self-made empowered woman, right? You've got to get deep down into what it's going to look like and feel like, and what would you do and who would you be with and all of these things. Once you start to get a sense of what that vision looks like for yourself, now and only now can you start really getting on what I call the empowerment journey, right? That empowerment path. That's the beginning point. But that whole, I'm going to walk into a room, and if they don't want me at the table, I'm going to build my own table. Here's what real empowerment is: saying, is that the table I even really want to be at? Just saying, maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
I love that. Is that the table I even want to be at? And when it's not, it's totally cool to build your own table, to create your own setting, and to attract the people that are going to understand what your angle is. And now, something that I think is really, really important when it comes to terms that get put out there and marketed and branded as something, and then we need to unbrand them and unlearn them and recreate them in a way that is going to serve us. I think something that's really important is that we find a way to do that lovingly and empathetically of others who are still showing up in that other part of empowerment, right? The women that are showing up as empowered women, like you were mentioning, in the sense or in the way of that masculine energy, right? Like that really hard. I'm here. I'm going to get it done. And it's, you know, it's all about me. And we're like super powerful and screw everybody who doesn't get it. And like, how do we balance, would you say, that space of I am empowered, I am strong, I won't take any BS from anybody, I have my boundaries, this is my definition of empowerment, this is how I show up as my most empowered self, but I am also going to be empowered enough to give kindness and to show grace to anybody else who doesn't show up in their empowerment in the way that I do. How do we balance that masculine space of this is who I am and how I am and what the hell I want to do and how I want to do it, and the feminine soft nurturing that says, but if you don't do it like me, I love you anyways?
We're going to do that, GiGi, one empowered woman at a time. That's how we're going to do it. A woman who is truly empowered will look at another woman and say, get it, girl. Get it, girl. No matter how you want to show up. But I'm going to give you some really good examples to underscore and punctuate what I'm saying to you, because it goes right back to what you were saying. So all of a sudden, hustle is dead, right? Now, all of a sudden, hustle is bad. No more hustle culture. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. What if this is a woman's season of hustle? So now, for the last 5 years, you've been telling me to hustle. Now I'm not supposed to hustle. And so if I'm a woman out there and I'm not plugged in, I haven't really cultivated what real empowerment means to me. Now I might stop hustling because now that's been co-opted and that's not cool anymore. What if this is that woman's season of hustle? Can't I stand there and support her and say, get it, girl? This is my season of a little bit of hustle, right? I was off for a year because of an accident. Now I'm back. So someone looks at me and says, oh, Diana, you're working too hard. You need to balance. And I'm like, well, let's look at balance. Off for a year, on for a year. To me, that's balance from another point of view. So here's what I say to women. Real empowerment is who you are. I believe it's our birthright. I believe it's how we were born. It was chipped away at over the course of our lifetime. And then these definitions come out and now we play a role, right? So if you are more in your masculine, like I look at all of these things, GiGi, as skills, right? I can walk into a boardroom and I can take absolutely no prisoners. Why? Because I have that skill. It's a skill. But is that my empowered state of being? No. My empowered state of being allows me to walk in and hustle when I need to, stop when I don't. It allows me to walk in and be a boss lady and walk out and go home and be a soft lady. That's what my empowerment allows me to do. It allows me to look at all of these different facets as skills. This is a skill that I have, but it doesn't mean that that's my state of empowerment. It is my state of empowerment that lets me be modern and traditional. It's my state of empowerment that allows me to step into my masculine energy when needed because it's a skill and I know how to do that. And it allows me to soften back into my feminine. Let's stop telling women this is who you are and inform them that, hello, darling, this is a skill that you've honed over the last 15 years. Use it when you need to. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because empowerment is a state of who you are, not the actions that we take.
I love that. I love that so much. And you mentioned briefly about how you were off for a year. And I would love for you to share your story because I think it says so much about your own power. And it says so much about why you're in that state of hustle right now, which I absolutely love. And I agree with you. I hate the word hustle because my hustle put me in a hospital, right? I'm past my season of hustle, right? But I've through my hustle, I was able to learn so much about entrepreneurship, about who I am, about how I do and don't want to show up, and about what degree of hustle I want to allow in my life moving forward, right? And you're absolutely right that there are seasons of hustle and that there are seasons of growth and there are seasons of just nurturing yourself and not really doing or creating or launching or selling or nothing, just being. And so I would love for you to share your story about what happened a year ago and how it has transformed you and impacted what you now do for so many women?
Yeah, it's been such a year, GiGi, and it all started with me going out for a night out with a girlfriend of mine just to meet up. We're going to have a drink. That's it. And I was crossing the street and I waited at the light. The little man lit up and I crossed the street. And before I could get to the other side, Suburban SUV, a black Suburban, literally flew out of nowhere, made a hard left and slammed right into me. And so I was airborne, landed on my side. And I woke up to like a scene of people and cell phones and flashing lights. And it was really a moment. And what I will tell you is the physical injuries were one thing, but I actually suffered a severe concussion and subsequent TBI diagnosis. And a TBI is a traumatic brain injury, and it manifests in so many ways. Finishing a sentence like this, talking, that was like not happening. Balance, mobility, your thinking, your ability to hold a thought, your ability to speak, balance, like everything, short-term memory. My neurologist said you're high IQ, high energy, high functioning. This is going to be the hardest thing in your life to do, but you have to stop everything. So GiGi, for the first time since I was in my 20s, I was neither in front of a camera or behind a camera. And so it was the first time in my adult life that I was, in fact, a civilian. I was consuming content. I was watching TV. I wasn't watching it thinking, I wonder how they lit it. Oh, I wonder how they came up with this messaging. Like, over the course of time, I just sat back and consumed. And that algorithm knows what to send you, right? And so the algorithm kept sending me all of this female empowerment style, branded content. And I'm looking at it. And I was actually, in the end, to be really honest with you, it pissed me off, because I know from coaching women and from my own experience, that is not real empowerment. That is a branded definition of empowerment. And I said to myself, when I come back, and I am going to really lean into this concept of real empowerment. I am here for real empowerment in women. And you might ask me, well, what's real empowerment? My answer is always going to be the same. It's you tell me. You tell me what empowerment means to you. I will help guide you and help get you there, but I cannot, nor will I, in good conscience, tell you what empowerment is. You think about women and how amazing we are and how diverse we are. Our definitions of empowerment should be as diverse as we are, right? It's a kaleidoscope. It's this beautiful thing, and nobody has the right to market it and brand it and profit off it when it's your birthright. It's yours and yours alone. And that's what real empowerment is. And it changed the trajectory of my business, but it also changed me, right? GiGi, I had to lean into all of my empowerment while I was climbing the walls, not doing anything. It was hard.
How would you define that? How would you define what you just said? How do you lean into empowerment? What does that mean to you?
It's interesting. I love, girl, I love this conversation. When you lean into your empowerment, you lean into it. To me, your empowerment is this. I call it the empowerment filter, right? So what is that? Your empowerment filter consists of your core desires, your core vision for your life, your core values, your core strengths, all of these things. It's the best of you. It's the most powerful part of you. It is that part of you that is your true essence. And so you think about, I have over 10,000 hours of live and unscripted television broadcast into 100 million homes under my belt. I lost my ability to speak. That's tough, right? That's really tough. So as an example, how did I lean into my empowerment? When you have your empowerment definition in your filter and you live it, right? You live it all the time. and it's so well honed. Then when things happen to you, right? I got hit by a car, lost my ability to speak the way I'm speaking right now. I lean into that empowerment. So I know all of that filter, like, is this, two core values of mine, GiGi: peace, freedom, right? So I'm laid up in bed and can't go anywhere, can't work, not allowed to read, no computer, no this, no that. So what did I do? I ended up going to the beach. Now, if you ask me as a child, that was always like my happiest place, my happiest time. So did I get hit by a car? Did I lose my ability to speak? Did I have migraines 27 out of 30 days a month? Did I have insomnia? Did I have, yes, 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 yes. All of these things is yes. But I spent the time at my happy place on the beach. That's dealing with it in an empowered way. That brought me peace in chaos. That gave me a sense of freedom I'd never had in my life. Is it scary to stop working? Is it scary to do all of these things? Yes, but I've never had downtime like that ever. So as hard as it is, you lean into your empowerment. So for me, I leaned into this idea of what's going to give me peace, what's going to give me a sense of freedom right now. So it's just one small example of how you can use your empowerment even in the toughest times, right? Because GiGi, we tell people all the time, if things aren't happening to you, it's happening for you. But what does that mean? Like, how do you make that happen in real time? Because nobody wants to get hit by a car. Nobody wants to end up flat on their back. Nobody wants a brain injury. I'm still dealing with it. But to lean into my empowerment was a simple thing. It seems so simple, right? You go to the beach. But that just led me to where I am today. I got some peace. I got some rest. I had a summer of freedom. Oh my gosh, I stopped working, darling. And I got a chance for the first time in my life as an adult to consume and just sit back and look at what it's done for me. I really had an awakening of like, holy crap, what are we doing to women? We're selling them something that isn't real.
I think what you said about how simple it is, the fact that it is so simple is why it's so hard to do. Because it is so simple to look at a chaotic situation that you might find yourself in and feel the weight of it. You feel the weight of the stress, of the pain, of the impotence that you feel sometimes under certain circumstances, in certain situations, and to just drown in that, right? And it's so easy to say, how can I make this a little easier for myself? And the answers tend to be these big decisions, right? Like, if I had more money, if I could hire help, if I could do and these really, really big answers. And it's like, no, what is the simplest, smallest, tiniest thing that I can do for myself right now or in these 24 hours to help me through this situation, to help me through this moment, just momentarily? Doesn't have to solve the whole problem, but what is one small, powerful thing that I can do for myself in the next 24 hours to help me through this moment? And in your case, that was sitting by the water, sitting by the beach, and just allowing yourself to breathe in that fresh air and just be, and that simplicity, I think, sometimes gets away from us. And we look at everything with such a big view. It's like, what's the biggest solution? And it doesn't have to be big, right?
Yeah. And I think also, to your point, GiGi, what I notice when I coach women, right, as an empowerment coach, one of the hardest things for women to do is, in fact, just be, right? Number one. And number two, what I have found, what specifically makes it difficult for women to just be is, believe it or not, and I know that you will, it's fear. So many women are so afraid to stop, because once you stop and you sit, that's when your inner voice starts speaking to you, right? When your inner voice starts speaking to you, I believe your inner voice is leading you to your empowerment, right? I always say to women, if that empowered vision of yourself doesn't like actually scare you to death, it's very, very much not big enough, right? And so when you sit and your inner voice starts speaking to you, that's a really scary thing, because so often what it will tell women is, you deep down on some level, you know you're not where you need to be. You know you're not living the life that you want to be. You know you're not living the life you should be. You know that you're not in the right relationship or at the right job, or you're not surrounding yourself with the right people. And like you just said, GiGi, to bring this full circle, we think we have to make these huge moves, you know, all at once. And sometimes it is the smallest thing. It is the smallest decision. Like for me, just going to the beach, that had a massive impact on me. But I had to also be. I had to just sit there and be and look at the patterns that were playing out, right? As a woman who runs her own business and isn't working, you can imagine the self-talk and all of the chaos that was going on in my mind. And sitting on the beach made me what? Be. I had to sit with all of that. It is an eye-opening experience. And we have to have, again, those two things, courage and willingness to just be. And if you feel a little crappy when you do it, that's okay too. You know, there's also this thing like, you got to feel so amazing all the time. Honey, I don't feel amazing all the time. Okay. Like I do not. Right. And to just be sometimes puts a spotlight on those things, GiGi. It just does.
And I think that the key about just being and why women are afraid of just being is because when you are in that silence and that inner voice begins to speak and starts to give you the guidance and show you the ugly and show you the scaries and show you all of the really powerful parts of you that are actually what move you forward, what perhaps you have to heal to become a better, stronger version of yourself, or, you know, whatever that inner voice is going to be showing you when you are just being instead of busy doing. I think the reason why we're sometimes so scared of that is because once you become aware, you really can't ignore it anymore. And it is so much easier to stay in the patterns that you are in and to blame circumstances than it is to become an active creator of your reality and to find that inner guidance, to find that voice, to listen to it, and to take action based on what that inner voice shows you. And sometimes it's a path, but sometimes it's healing that needs to be done before you can take on that path. And that part, I think, is scary for a lot of us, because it requires doing really deep work. It requires us really stepping up for ourselves and really having that courage to take the action that is necessary to transform our lives into what we visualize when we're doing, you know, what we imagine when we're doing the visualizations of like, what's your ideal day looking like? Yeah, well, if you don't do the work to get there, you're not going to get there, right?
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting because I call that, it's that moment at night when you go to bed, you know, and it's like right before you fall asleep, you know, see GiGi's smiling. Yeah. I know at home you're smiling too, because you know what I'm talking about. And it's that you almost check out and it's like, you're not quite asleep, but you're still awake, but you've gone, like there's a specific place you go. And that's where those visions and those dreams and those aspirations, they still live. And so that moment will do one of two things for you. It will either inspire you or it will trigger you. And both are very natural reactions, right? You can either feel so discouraged, like I don't have to stop. Like I used to call it la la land. That's like la la land. That's not reality. I got to stay in reality. Or it inspires you. It doesn't matter what happens. Like GiGi said, it's time to take action. So why do we not take action? Because of the healing. Why are we not healing? Couple of reasons why. This is what I see with clients when I work with them. Number one, they've gone to therapy. They've done, you know, they've hired coaches. They've gone to therapy. They've done retreats on this. And they're like, I still don't feel like things are happening. Like I swear to God, I'm dating a different guy, but it's the same dude I've dated for the last 10 years, right? Or I change jobs and once again, I am getting passed up for a promotion. What's going on? Well, it's not enough anymore, I don't think, to tell women heal, period. I think that what we need to help women do, and this is what I strive to do, is to create a path, right? If you're just saying heal, that's a huge, tall order because women have been disappointed and they get discouraged and then they're afraid to try again because it hurts too much to try and then find yourself in the same position over and over again. So that's why you need to come up with a plan, GiGi, a plan that will allow you to feel comfortable, confident, and at ease, knowing that you are stepping forward now in an empowered way, right? Because you may want to try something but my question to clients is like, so what specifically makes you want to do that? And they're like, well, I want to do it because. I'm like, no. The question wasn't why. The question was what? Like, where does that desire come from? Because sometimes our desires come from unhealed places inside of us, right? So we might be chasing after something that isn't aligned with our empowerment. So it's a really complex thing, right? It's like when it's time to heal, it is time to heal, girls. If you want to take action, if you want to change your life, GiGi's right. It's time to heal first, but we need to heal with a perspective on the future. And you can't just heal because, GiGi, this is what happened to me. My whole journey started. I was working on national television, had an amazing job, right? Like right, girls? Okay, yeah, exactly. And so my dad was sick and I flew home and, it ended up one night in the hospital, just me and my dad all night. And I had no way of knowing that that would have been the last conversation I had with my dad. We spent all night chatting. And when I left his room in the morning, I left GiGi because he sent me home to go get some sleep and to get back on a plane, book my flight, call work, tell them I'm coming back to go on the air, and because he's going to be fine. And then within a few short hours of that, the end of that conversation, he passed away. The conversation he and I had the last night of his life changed the trajectory of mine. My marriage fell apart. I left my really good job of over a decade. I packed up my home. I moved cross country. And this whole empowerment movement started organically, right? And so this is what, like, all of the healing I've done, all of the work I've done, everything, the journey I have gone through, that's now how I work with women, right? At that time, which was without a doubt the low point of my life, GiGi, I could not find what I was looking for. I did the right thing. I was going to therapy, but I remember, and you've gotten to know me well enough already, ladies, I said this. I remember I looked at my therapist and I said to him, I said, basta. I'm like, enough of this. I said, I don't want to come here every single week and talk about how hard this is. I go, I know it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. This is shit. Of course it's shit. I go, but I don't want to come here and talk about shit for an hour. I go, if I'm going to pay you, I would like a specific service. And what I want is to talk about this, but with a perspective on the future, because this isn't going to last forever. So can we build a bridge to the future? Can I use this to fuel forward? And in the end, he was incapable. I had to let him go. And to the extent, you've never heard this one before, I got my money back. Because I said to him, I'm like, this is what I asked for. You said you could deliver. You can't deliver. So what do I now do with clients? I let them sit in the shit, but with a perspective on the future. Because GiGi, as God is my witness, as I sit here with you today, that is the only thing that makes sense. We can heal when we have a perspective on the future, it's all symbiotic. It all goes back and forth. So can we please stop telling women to do more impossible things and just heal, period.
Yep. I love that. I love it. Now, talking about the future and talking about the tools and the resources, right? To be able to heal and to have that vision and to be able to create the bridges for the future that we want for ourselves, for our families, for our businesses. I know that you have a really fantastic experience coming up, the E2 experience, where I am honored to be one of your facilitators. And I need you to tell everyone who's listening right now exactly what we can expect from E2.
I'm so, so excited to launch E2 in my new home of Miami. So E2, what does that stand for? EE, the empowerment ecosystem. This is what I am striving to build for women in a real live experience. So here on Saturday, August 19th at the Eden Rock Hotel, it's going to be a full day of empowerment. You are going to walk into a room and you are going to experience what real empowerment in a woman actually looks like and what it feels like. And you might ask me, Diana, what's real empowerment? And I'm going to answer it the same way I always do. You tell me, and I'm going to help you get there. I believe that empowerment needs to happen from a 360-degree standpoint. If we're going to be empowered women, we need to empower our health, our wealth, our relationships to ourselves, our family, with other women. We need to empower our careers. We need to empower our bodies. We need to empower our minds. I am striving to curate the highest quality experts in their field, like GiGi, let's be honest, women who are truly empowered women, GiGi, let's be honest, right? And we are bringing these high-level experts together and putting their message through the empowerment filter so that you can walk out of this room and you are going to walk out saying, that was such a high quality experience. And quality, really, GiGi, is the key word. From the environment, we have the entire penthouse suite at Eden Rock, to the food, a full sit-down dinner, to the experts, genuinely empowered women like GiGi, who will be there to talk to you about their field of excellence through the empowerment filter, to the environment, to the swag bag, which is a red carpet swag bag. I want you to think about, like, I've been to the daytime Emmys, I've gone to these events, right? This is a red carpet swag bag that actually is so juicy and so delicious, and it's worth more than the price of the ticket. You are going to walk in with questions. You're going to walk out with answers. You're going to walk in thinking, okay, let's do it. Let's get this. And you're going to walk out saying, I got it. You're going to walk in to a room full of strangers. You're going to walk out with a brand new sisterhood. What I want to do is bring exceptional quality to women, to the women who've always wanted to go to an event, but never do because they're like, I don't do yoga and drink matcha. Neither do I, ladies. Okay. I don't do that either. But what I do are things that empower me. And I want to help empower you, because remember, an empowered woman is a self-made woman. I'm now going to give you all of the tools in one day, in one experience, to help you do that. Because GiGi, we're modern women, right? Do I have time to look for a mindset, empowerment, branding, leadership, health, money? Like, I don't have time. How am I ever going to get to where I want to be? I can't, right? If I'm doing it on my own. So you're not doing it on your own. All of these experts are curated and brought into one room. You're also not doing it alone, because it's a room full of women who truly support other women. And just as a side note, GiGi, I do want to, not to make a run along sentence here, but I'm so excited. And one of the things I want to point out to women is, I'm not looking for the shiniest object speakers, right? I'm not looking for the person who has the most amount of Instagram followers. I'm not looking for the person who has the slickest content. That's not what a quality curated event is all about. What I'm looking for are people who will help you empower yourself. I am looking for top of field, but even more than that, I am looking for women who are like GiGi, who are like me, who really freely give and who truly and genuinely want to support other women. That's the environment. I want you to think of it as a container, this container where women come together and relationships blossom, all inside of this empowerment ecosystem. It's everything you need to live your empowered life and to truly self-empower.
I absolutely love that. And I can't wait. I'm super excited for this event, E2 on August 19th. If you're listening while you're driving, it's okay. All of the details, the link to get your tickets, all the fun and juicy stuff you got to know to make it to this event are in the show notes. So make sure that you check that out, Diana. It's been an absolute pleasure to chit chat with you today. And I can't wait to see you in person soon and give you a big ol' hug and share all of our magic together at E2 on August 19th.
I can't believe the time is already up, but I just want to say you are the real deal, GiGi. And I can't wait, truly, I can't wait for us to be able to have the chance to do a coffee and to really nurture our connection, because that's what the utopia is for women supporting women. We've got to nurture each other. We've got to show up real. And that's exactly who you are. That's the experience I've had with you. And I genuinely appreciate it.
Love you tons. Thanks for listening. And if you loved this episode of Chats with GiGi, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. If there's a guest or topic you'd like on the show, let me know. You can find me across all social media platforms as GiGi Diaz Live, or head on over to my website, www.gigidiaz.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be back next week. Until then, I'm sending lots of love and light your way.